other big news, the week, of course, was Google I/O's conference, where no surprise to anybody, it was wall-to-wall AI. And as usual with these, they just like turn on a fire hose of announcements. So well over 100 announcements. Uh, Go ahead, take us through what you thought was noteworthy, if anything, from Google I/O.
I thought that this was actually a pretty good show for Google for what it's worth. I think they brought out a lot of models that looked really interesting and can fit into workflows. And they brought out, of course, their Mega Gemini subscription, which is $250 a month, but also it includes access to a bunch of these new models that go across coding and content and video and writing and doing all sorts of different automated things that could possibly be worth it if you think of Gemini as an automation platform rather than simply as a set of AI models, which is, I think, the mistake that OpenAI made. OpenAI sold this $200 thing, and all you got was access to a cool model, whereas Gemini is providing access to a bunch of models and tools. But I think what really got my attention is they announced a couple of overriding workspace capabilities that work on top of these models. Uh, One's called Firebase Studio, which is basically their IDE, their software workspace to be able to work with a bunch of their models and their code assistants within this bigger picture studio. And then there's also the Flow capability, which brings in their VO3 video model, as well as some of their pictures and other capabilities, and provides, again, a kind of a studio capability, but for movies and pictures. And I think it's interesting to see Google taking that next level view of AI rather than simply providing the constituent little bits and pieces.
So I think what struck me the most from the announcements was the effectively complete lack of anything focused on the enterprise or B2B motions. And what I think is, I mean, and maybe we're going to see that. I mean, this is, in fairness, I guess, more of their, I guess, consumer-ish facing piece, right? This isn't
Mhm.
the, but I mean, I feel like the challenge that Google has right now is they sort of are trying to be everything to everybody and are, to me, they should be really looking at how they compete with Microsoft and AWS and carving that out. And they delivered a whole bunch of stuff that is interesting in some cases, but um, and certainly at a foundation level, but just sort of really like I was kind of scratching my head. It's like, well, where is the piece here that's going to make this relevant from the businesses that are actually putting AI to use within their organizations to try to make sense of it? So that was probably my big takeaway in looking at it. I thought there was some cool stuff. I think they have got some really cool technology. I think that they're catching up on that front in general if I compare it to OpenAI. Um, they have continued. I love one commentator talked about how they've continued their long history of giving projects names that have absolutely nothing to do with what the project's about. So they introduced Project Mariner, which whatever. That probably the other thing I do think is interesting is I feel like they finally saw the light and recognized that searches in the traditional Google mechanism has come to an end or will be coming to an end, and they
Mhm.
finally seem to be really embracing AI powered search. And perhaps confusingly, they introduced like three different ways that you can have AI powered search,
Yes.
which is a little bit, I think, frustrating or challenging, insofar as it gets confusing. But yeah, I mean, it was. I probably wasn't quite as taken. I mean, I think, well, you were taken by the technology. The technology is cool. I mean, the technology, the video in particular, was like pretty awestrucking. I mean, it was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. Um, so I guess from a raw technology standpoint, but I feel like maybe this is what I'm rambling on about is that I feel like Google's always been good at producing the technology, but what I think they're still struggling with is marketability and how they're going to actually deliver this into a production state.
Yeah, I worry that this is a bunch of Google Readers. So I still lament the loss of Google Reader, which I think was a fantastic product, but because Google couldn't figure out how to get a billion people to use it and pay $10 a month, they killed it off. And it's so frustrating for me to see because to me that was a way to be able to create a larger ecosystem of content. And okay, I can go on about Google Reader, but the bigger point here is that are a bunch of these AI tools similar that we're going to be able to create these amazing 8-second videos and do these great workflow automation tasks. And then one day, 5 years from now, it's all going to be taken away because these are all consumer betas at the end of the day. Google still has yet to answer this question. And like you said, Charlie, this is there's no real enterprise play here. This is really pushing against OpenAI and Perplexity and all the consumer uh, content and apps.
Well, and I think, this entire sort of moonshot mentality, which made a lot of sense for a long time, right? Because they were in a very enviable position in that they were making so much money off a business that effectively ran on autopilot,
Mhm.
that they had this latitude. And had any of those really hit, I think then it's like, well, that buys you the right to keep doing it. The challenge is that they really haven't, right? I mean, they still make the bulk of their money off of search, and that is now under very direct threat. And so you do question. It's like, is did they somehow get out of sync where they aren't really being very focused? And I look, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, right? I have enterprise lenses on, so maybe if that they're targeting the right group, that it's OpenAI that they should be going after because that's where the future is. I don't know if I buy that, but